Welcome to Kentucky Horsepower, the official podcast of the Kentucky Automobile Dealers Association.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our latest edition of Kentucky Horsepower, the official podcast of KADA. I'm Vice President Sarah Bishop, and I'm so excited to have Kentucky's Time Dealer of the Year nominee with us today. David Moore, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate what an honor it is to be with you today.
Of course, no stranger to the Kentucky Horsepower podcast, but we're excited to have you here as our TDOY nominee.
Well, it's a great honor to have been nominated this year. I can assure you of that.
Well, you know, the Time Dealer of the Year nominee is about strong dealer performance, but it's also about community service. And for us, that you're so invested in that what a great choice you are as a Time Dealer of the Year nominee. A lot of folks maybe listening don't know that in your time on our executive committee and as chairman, you really spearheaded our effort to recognize dealer service and to really promote all that the dealers do for their community. So we thank you for that, and talk a little bit about what community service means to you and what motivated you to help our association in acknowledging all that dealers do in their community.
Well, I think number one is, as a dealer, I think first of all, let me just say this. First off, it is a great honor to have been nominated as the Time Dealer of the Year. And from the other part of our dealers across the state that made that possible, I just want to say thank you for that nomination and that trust and that belief in what I believe in, quite honestly. And, you know, I felt like that as time has gone on, as a dealer, as a member of a community, our responsibility is as much to give back to our community as it is to serve and to take from our community. And I don't mean take in a bad way, but to do business. I think that's one of the costs that we have, is to do business and to support those nonprofits that are in our communities. That's part of our responsibility as a dealer, as a businessman in our community, is to support our nonprofits, our community service, whether it's cooking in a soup kitchen and providing a meal for those less fortunate that we are, whether it's teaching junior achievement and soft skills, business skills, things like that to our high schoolers starting in our middle school ages, or whether it's serving on our boards of whether it's junior achievement of West Kentucky, whether it's Kentucky Automobile KADA, whether it's on our motor vehicle commission, of which I've tried to become very active in. I feel like that, as our chairman says, we represent 4 million consumers in the state of Kentucky, and it's an honor to have been appointed by the governor to be able to serve in that capacity, to not only represent our citizens of the Commonwealth, but also as our dealers, to make sure that what we do is, as dealers, is, let's see, what's a good way to put it, is supportive, I guess, or is by the rules that have been set forth. And so I try to make a big part of my life is serving others, if you will. I guess in our church we had a slogan at one time, and when we would go out and do a community service, it simply said, "Serve others." First Baptist Church, Owensboro, and that's what I've tried to kind of make that my motto, or my mission statement, if you will, in life, is to serve others. And I think that's important beyond important. Is God has all blessed us with good things, and so we've got to provide for those that maybe are less fortunate than we are.
Your commitment to paying it forward, I think, is clear in so much that you do. What community initiative that you've been involved in are you the most proud of?
Oh man!
I know you don't like to promote yourself and all that you do, but we gotta. You're gonna have to this time.
I think probably I've served on the Junior Achievement of Western Kentucky board for 15 years. I'm currently the chairman of that board. And we have a new president that is doing an extremely good job. But I think that's probably one of my biggest overall things probably is to be able to serve our students and our community. I mean, we've served over 21,000 students a year in teaching soft skills, business skills, intro to business, and all that junior achievement does. I think the other thing that I would say has been a big is what I've been able to do with KADA. I would be remiss if I didn't feel like that is a outstanding organization. I feel like that we have great leadership, and I feel like that I was a part of putting that leadership into place. And we've now got that organization that's on great financial standards, great footing, and I think the dealers, and I think that's probably is one thing that we've tried to stress. Chairman Marshall has continued that. I picked that ball up and ran with it too. Is to be able to support the dealers that are our members, as well as those dealers that are not our members, because if we can serve those dealers, they may become members of KADA. So I think sometimes we have to think outside of the box. It's just like if someone hasn't given to junior achievement, but we can show where junior achievement is doing good work, then we have a better opportunity if somebody when their next go around or they're looking for an organization to support, that's where we'll do. So,
Sure.
I mean, my work in my church is very important to me. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. But I think I try to make the best out of everything, and I don't know that there's any one, but I would say that our time on junior achievement has probably been, and my time in KADA and what we've been able to build at KADA has been probably as big as what I've done in my career the last several years.
Thanks. I think there's no question that you serve these leadership roles so well, both in your dealership, in your community, in your church. Is there a moment from your career that you can recall that really helped shape your leadership style or mission?
Oh man. I don't know that there's anything that there's any one single thing that the light came on and said, here's where life changes. I've just tried I guess my dad kind of had a thought or motto in life that, when I die, I want people to say he was a good man. And, I've kind of taken that same kind of thing. And, maybe I guess deep down inside when I die, I just want to say he was willing to serve others, you know. And was there one thing in business that has been enlightening, or, when we purchased the Ford store and I became the dealer there in the Ford Chrysler store, that was a big step. And I think we had to look up to say, okay, we're bringing new people. We were in a community that we had not been in. And the folks of Ohio County, much like small counties across the state, it's not just Ohio County. It could be my wife was the principal in Hancock County. She had the same challenges that I had. But when you go into a new community that you're not, even though you're the next county over, and people have seen your commercials on television, and they feel like they know you, they really don't know you because you're an outsider and
Right.
you're not born, raised, and whatever. And I think, in 2000, April of 2000, when I purchased that store, I realized that, look, I've got to be accepted. There was a fellow named Dudley Cooper that was the county judge at the time, and he pulled up in the parking lot. I was standing out in front of the store, and we were waiting to close. It was about 3 days before we closed. He said, "Get in the car," and I said, "Okay." So we ride, or he takes me down. We ride down 231 and come back, and he said, "Let me explain to you a couple of things. First of all, don't talk about anybody because they're all related," and which is great advice, you
Yes.
know. And second of all, he said, and mostly the most important is whether you realize it or not, you are an outsider. So if you want to be successful in Ohio County, you have to make Ohio County your mission to be successful in Ohio County. And so I guess if I really had to pick a time or a thought and just off the top, I guess it would be that conversation with Judge Cooper that, look, if I'm going to be successful here, I've got to make sure that people in this community have believe that I'm here and that I'm trying to serve the people of Ohio County. And I've served on numerous boards there. We started an economic development board there that I was very proud of. We've had I've served as the Chamber of Commerce president, of which is a great organization to bring business and to promote business in Ohio County, and they just do a great job. And so I think those are the things that I guess, that when Judge Cooper kind of had that conversation with me, I would say that was one of them. That, okay, you're in a new community, you've got to be accepted, and so that's what I try to do.
I find that when people come into Kentucky from out of state, they're always sort of puzzled because the way we talk to each other as Kentuckians is we always ask what county somebody's from, right? And that's how we start making the connection. And they're always like, what? But I mean, that really is kind of how we identify ourselves a lot of times is this is my county, this is your county. Oh, who do you know from this county? Who are you related to in that county?
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right. And another thing is H. Jackson Brown Jack Brown did our advertising for us years ago, but he wrote a little book, Life's Little Instruction Book. And you may have seen it. There's about 5 or 6 different versions, and it's about a 4 by 6 inch book. But one of the things in there says, don't ever ask someone their occupation. And, so I asked Jack one day why he put that in his book. And he said, because we judge people based off what they do. And now if somebody volunteers to tell me that they're in the car business, then that's fine, or they're in the plumbing business or the electrical business or but I'm very conscientious not to ask what business you're in, because I don't want that to be a judge, and I don't want to to feel like that there's any, because let me tell you, in today's world we've got to have everybody. AI is important, but it is not going to dig a ditch. It is not going to come out and fix my air conditioner.
Nope.
It is not going to come in and put new lights in my house. They're not going to work on my car. Now, they may tell the technician what to do, but they're not going to physically be able to do it yet.
That's right.
We're a long way out. So as important as AI is, we still got to have our trades that are so important to each and every one of us, regardless of what business we're in.
That sort of leads me into how in your dealership do you think you balance tradition versus innovation and kind of hitting the sweet spot between incorporating things that have always been important to you and also, adapting to a changing environment?
Well, first thing is, I think we have to be able to go in and we have to be able to explain why we want to make the change that we want to make. And I think so much of the time we go out into society and we don't necessarily explain with our associates that we work with every day, why we want to make the decisions, why we make the decisions that that we want to make, and why those things are there. It's a little bit of a challenge. I'm very technology challenged. And so I would still be working pencil and paper if it were up to me, but that's not the society that we're in today. And I think it's important that when we make a change, that we explain to our folks that we work with every day why we have made the decisions that we've made. I don't know that really answers your question, but
no, I think it does. It does. And it sort of ties into, and I promise this will be my last question, maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
What advice do you have for young people getting into the automotive industry today?
Be open-minded. As I tell my high school juniors and seniors, when I talk to them at the business classes. It's not my job. Throw those words out of your vocabulary. And accept when you accept an offer for a job, we don't hire people and them not know what they're going to be making. When you accept a job, you understand the salary that's associated with that job. Don't come in the next month or 2 months and say, I need a raise, or be out looking for another job because you didn't know what this job was going to what it was going to pay, or you're not satisfied with. Don't take the job, you know.
Sure.
And I think the other thing is just to be open minded, be positive about the job you're in. If it's not for you, fine, get out, find the job that is for you. But don't just think that you're going to walk in and everything's going to be great. The other thing I think is in our business, we've gone to non-commissioned salespeople, and that has taken a big load off of of our of our salespeople, because it's not, oh my gosh, I've got 10 cars out and it's all based off gross profit and I don't have any gross. But now it's more of, hello, Sarah, what can I help you with today? And let me make sure, you've got 3 kids, Sarah. You don't need a Mustang. You don't need a Camaro. You need a Traverse
Don't say
a
a
small
minivan.
SUV or something like that. So let's think about what you really need to cure to make you happy. And I tell our salespeople when they start with us, I'll tell them all. I said, look, here's the deal. You want the car to be as well liked 6 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years down the road as it is today. You did your job. If they like that car 18 months to 2 years from today, they really like that car. You did your job. If they don't, if in 6 months they're looking to trade it because it doesn't suit their needs, you didn't do your job. And I think the biggest thing is stop and listen. Listen to what the customer needs and don't tell them what they need unless they ask.
I think that's great advice. I think it really helps focus on serving your customers rather than serving to sell. You know what I mean? Because that's what builds trust and that's what keeps people coming back. So, Time Dealer of the Year, we can't wait to celebrate you in Vegas. Are you excited?
I am excited. I am ready to roll out and just to see. And it's Ray Farbob was last year's winner. Ray is from Evansville. He's a good friend of our family's, and so he called me the week before last, and I got to admit I was pretty honored. I'm just going to say that, and he is a fine man, and he said, it's not the win or the lose. I said, oh, you can say that because you won. But it's not the win or the lose, it's the nomination. And that is truly how I look at it. And when I got the call from Jason and and you all from KADA, there's nothing more humbling of an honor that I could have gotten. And when you sit down and you get to filling things out, I'm not very good at promoting myself, but I do tell kids that when they're applying for a job, you've got to promote yourself, because the next person is not going to come in and say, oh, you ought to hire David Moore over Sarah Bishop because, whatever. If you don't
Yeah.
look, you got to hire David Moore because David Moore's the best candidate for the job. I do tell if anybody's hiring, or if we're interviewing someone, I tell people right up front, there's nobody else going to promote that, whether we hire you or not. But it is an honor, and I'm very humbled with the opportunity to be able to represent the state of Kentucky and in the Time Dealer of the Year nominee.
Is the family going to get to come celebrate you?
My 2 brothers are coming.
Great.
My wife's coming. So yeah, we're gonna have some family there with us. We're having dinner the night before. So that'll be exciting.
All right. Well, congratulations. Thank you for joining us
much.
today. And everybody, we will see you next time on the Kentucky Horsepower Podcast.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.